On behalf of Indian Chamber of Commerce, I would like to express my great pleasure in welcoming you all to the 4th Summit of Indian Public Sector Agenda at 2020. This is yet another initiative of Indian Chamber of Commerce of bringing together the stakeholders, the public sector companies, the academia and other experts to derive solutions for the issues and challenges of the public sector to work towards bringing in the social impact and business development. May I now request Dr. Rajiv Singh for his welcome address, please.
On behalf of ICC, it's my pleasure to welcome you all. This is the 4th edition of the PSE Summit. We started the summit jointly with the Department of PSE 4 years back. And I think there is no denying that the PSEs in India have taken Indian economy to the new heights. There was time when people felt that it's going to be a doomsday for the PSEs. But the way Indian public sector banks stood up and demonstrated that they are the ones who have been able to face the economic crisis worldwide. The banking systems were crashing, but they were the ones who stood the test of the time. And same happened with most of our PSEs. And we at ICC feel that there is a lot to learn from what the PSEs have been able to achieve, the systems which they have been able to bring in, and the entire governance structure which they have been able to set up. So this forum will look at the best practices, learnings, and the idea is come up with solutions and suggestions which ICC will compile and submit to the department. I would like to now request Mr. Pavadia to please address us. Thank you.
Now, this public sector in India has actually outperformed its original mandate of generating employment, rectifying regional imbalances in industrial growth, in plugging the gaps in the core sectors where investment from private sector was not forthcoming. But what is most commendable, I think, in the way I see it, is the zest with which public sector in India has pursued its commercial objectives while simultaneously discharging its social obligations. Without detracting from the magnificent achievement of the public sector, let us be candid in admitting that to some extent, the Indian market also contributed to insulating the public sector from these world forces. But changes are taking place now. This market is gradually getting saturated. We are having products and services from outside also now making an entry into India. Global players, multinationals are now there. And slowly the Indian economy is getting integrated with the world economy. And because of this integration of the two economies, we are feeling the heat of the global market forces. So these are the challenges which have been thrown up now in the recent decades. So the need of the hour would be to invest in R&D, pursue innovation. These are the areas we are lacking. Ending on a positive note, I think you have done fantastically well. CPSEs have done excellent work, and this is the moment of glory. They need to be congratulated, and I think it is organizations like ICC who encourage the CPSEs by holding such events to congratulate the success. Thank you for a patient hearing.
Mr. Pavadia, thank you. It's my pleasure now to request our chief guest, Mr. Behoria, to please address us.
Good morning. Just a few thoughts as to actually what is the role of the public sector. Should we have any public sector at all? I mean, why not do it in the private sector? Many people, I think, in government today people in authority feel that there is no reason for the public sector to exist, that everything can be done in the private sector. Why should it be done in the public sector at all? Now, I am of a different view because I personally feel that in certain areas, it is necessary that we must have the public sector, particularly where national security concerns are involved. Similarly, there are certain areas where I think the existence of the private sector forces the private sector to limit its pricing. I mean, if you have a benchmark, if you have some public sector which is actually selling something at a lower rate and at least of similar quality, the private sector, even in monopolistic considerations, would not be able to charge whatever price he wants to. So I think there is the raison d'etre for the public sector to exist, at least as far as I am concerned, it is there. As I said, many in government even today feel that it is not necessary to have the public sector at all. But I think there certainly is a role to play. So I wish the conference all the best. Thank you very much.
May I now quickly request Mr. JVR to kindly address us and deliver a vote of thanks.
It's always difficult to say public sector or private sector, which is best. It is like hot and cold water. Both are extremes. I think mix is really, really necessary, and this is what we really have to think about it. And this, especially in my view, all the public sectors are unsung heroes. They do a great job, but not spoken, not recognized. So, like any other limelight, the other sectors steal. Thank you.
I am very privileged and honored to be able to welcome all of you to this marquee and landmark event. Today we get to recognize great talent. The objective of this award is to highlight and recognize the best practices of the various CPSEs. The Indian Chamber of Commerce, I'm very proud to say, was the first industry body to recognize the efforts and contributions of the CPSEs, and the initiative has been very appreciated by all the relevant stakeholders. So with these few words, I would request our moderator this evening to start the ball rolling and start the panel discussion.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the special panel discussion. We will discuss ways of increasing efficiency, effectiveness, striving towards best practices at public sector units, and of course, innovation in today's times. And Mr. Singh, if I could get a word in from you in terms of modernizing your processes as well as expansion, what really is your strategy there to maintain your market position?
I am from a family of power sector of India, and one of the important infrastructure sector. One thing I like to tell you, being in the infrastructure sector, our social responsibility is much more. I will mention 1-2 points categorically. Number one, we are to improve the efficiency or efficacy of the plant we are operating. Number two, we are to go to the renewables as quickly as we go, because the fossil fuel, what we are intended to develop, the project based on the fossil fuel, it's the resources, what is the limited resources we have in our country. And number three, the most important is the demand side management or the energy efficiency, what we call it. So these are the broad agenda which I believe will take the energy requirement of this country forward.
Mr. Jain, a few comments from you as well in terms of operational best practices that your company has embraced in order to actually come out with a better socio-economic impact.
REAL is into milk analysis and automation solutions. REAL is into renewable energy. REAL is into information technology and communication technology. We all know that if rural India has to progress, it has to be an economically empowered rural India. We have taken our business as innovating solutions to the problems, whatever they are or wherever they are. When we found that in villages, the energy is a big challenge. The electricity is a big challenge. We diversified into solar photovoltaic. And there we provided dedicated energy solutions to them who were into dairy industry. So what I would like to emphasize here is business is okay. Yes, it gives us profit. But doing business by sharing the pain of the people, converting that opportunity even in a less profitable business, and looking at the growth of that industry makes a larger mean to the business. And if we look at, and this is what the most of the PSUs are doing, so this is how we have taken our business.
Right. Mr. Ramamurthy, if I can bring you in here, the CMDs of all the PSUs, of course, spoke about how the government, of course, at the very outset when they set up PSUs, their directive was to do business with a socio-economic impact. So they certainly have certain processes and procedures that they need to follow. So in this backdrop, how do you help them come up with the technology enterprise innovation that is acceptable to them?
One is the private sector and the CSR responsibility, and the second part of it is the technology, what it can bring effectiveness to the public at large. I feel the technology is certainly affordable, and it is year on year dropping in prices, about 31% drop in prices of hardware every year, and also that is the one which increases the specification year on year. What I can see it is some of them are very easily affordable. Simple thing is like payment gateways. The same thing is with street lighting. Many times you don't have streets lighting at all because of the cost of energy is high and the corporations are unable to pay it. But if we can just tie it up with some amount of sidereal clock, that is astronomical clock connected with the switching on and switching off, I think we'll save a lot of cost. This certainly has got a very, very big impact, and there are enough of funds available for energy efficiency in Government of India, which needs to be utilized. Similarly, the transportation, if it can be connected with GPS and GIS, I think a position of the vehicle and also the time of availability, what time it reaches, also booking the tickets on this and also blocking the particular seat, etc. These are all just ready-made solutions that are available, and many small organizations have done it already put in practice. Even if we can take that template and put it across, it helps a lot.
All right. And talking about scalability, I'm going to look at an overall general mandate by the revised CSR guidelines that have just been announced earlier this year, of course. And that was to take up at least one major project for development in a backward district. The emphasis is on scalability, size, and impact. So what are you doing to this end?
We focus into about 8 areas on which education is one, healthcare is another, rural power is another, sanitation is another. So all of these are there where we try ensuring that all our assets what we create or the education what we provide, the aids what we provide into these, they are available to the people, and then it is impacting the society at large. So when we create facilities in the rural schools, we try ensuring that we are going to ensure that there are girls' schools are there, they have the required facilities. In healthcare, we create the healthcare assets into that, and we also give them machineries, training to them into this. There are regular checkups are done, because if the health is good, the society is educated at a large, I think the contribution can be more positive to the society. So all our CSR projects are looking at creating shared value, that is one which is beyond a profitability, beyond a corporate social responsibility. You create the society which can be more beneficial to all of us.
All right, I think we've run out of time, and on that note, we'll wrap up this panel discussion here. Before we go into the award ceremony, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being on the panel with us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.